All right. Well, what a I should have some champagne, right? Exciting times. The CBA has been finalized. The lockout is over. It has been a tough 100 plus days, about 100 days. Well, it was a 99-day lockout. Major League Baseball gave me for my birthday a lockout. So glad that's over. And as expected, business has picked up immediately, both with the White Sox and around the sport altogether. If anybody wants to comment, please just dive on into the chat and feel free to ask questions. Converse. I do have a little show rundown that I will go over. And I guess, hey, Sox 2022. I've been meaning to ask you, did you used to go by a different name? I need that for appropriate record keeping when it comes to the pick to click contest, because I can't imagine that you were Sox 2022 last season as well. Anyway, so yes, big news ahead for the White Sox. Just went down yesterday, a couple of new additions to the team. And hello, John Smith. Go White Sox indeed. Josh Harrison is picked up as a second baseman for us. Another guy with a lot of versatility. He, second base, third base, all outfield spots. And he's definitely going to be a nice addition to the team compared to what we currently had going out there. If the season had started as soon as the lockout was over and we just had to go in with what we had, we would have been okay. Leury Garcia is really nice, but I love the ability to have him play anywhere all over the field. He's a great super sub type of player that goes in the in a reserve role. Hold on, really quickly. JK Town. Yes, that is you. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Now I can keep my record straight. Thank you. But just looking at last year's stats between Josh Harrison. So last year, of course, he played with the Nationals and Oakland, traded midseason. He had a batting average on the season overall of 279, on base plus slugging of 741, which is good for an on base plus slugging plus of 106. A lot of stats, a lot of numbers. So he's 6% better than the average hitter, which doesn't sound like much. And of course, 6% better is nice, but it's not great. However, getting that out of your second baseman, that is really good. That's usually a light hitting position. And last year, as you see, and not as you see, but Garcia and Mendick did not do great overall. Garcia, he's always a very serviceable, and his versatility up with the glove is the big thing with Leury Garcia. But he batted 267 on base plus slugging, 711, and 96 on base plus slugging plus, so 4% below. And then Danny Mendick, who again, he got less time. Well, 71 games, that's still a lot of time. Let's see, 220 batting average, 589 on base plus slugging, and just a 64 on base plus slugging plus. So you're taking 96 and 64 and turning that into 106. That is a nice boost. Now, I was dreaming big. I really wanted to, yes, and an upgrade over Cesar Hernandez. I should have pulled his numbers up as well. But and it's too bad. Cesar Hernandez started out really well. He hit a couple of home runs right away against the Cubs. So that was fun. He had a good week or two here or there, but then really just fell off. And Jeff Zach, Check, how are you doing? Good to see you as well. So Josh Harrison is going to be, so I was going to say, I was dreaming big and really hoping that somehow the White Sox would be able to get Trevor Story to go over to second base, get another all-star level player in there. And I suppose that's not technically out of the running, but it's super, super unlikely. It was unlikely before. Now it's really, really, really unlikely. But Josh Harrison, I am happy with that pickup. And I was also happy that that's where the focus was to start off. Right field, I know a lot of people want Michael Conforto, and actually Jeff McNeil, another Met, was a target for second base as well. If the White Sox do something in right field, I'm okay with that. I wouldn't be upset if we got Michael Conforto. However, if that precluded us from going after somebody else, if that kind of ate up the rest of our budget when we definitely still need pitching, then I would definitely not be for it. So our other pickup recently was Joe Kelly. What a surprise that was. And by the way, as a Sox fan, how cool is it to see our team spending money? I think for the first time in my lifetime, the White Sox are putting some big money out there and not being afraid to spend at a place where we have a lot of money already. There's a lot of money in our bullpen between Liam Hendricks, Craig Kimbrel, of course, and we picked up Kendall Graverman before the lockout happened. So there's already a lot of money out there. And you would think, a former Sox fan would think, well, we can't pick up anybody else until we trade off one of those bigger contracts. Well, no, right now the Sox are definitely going for it. Picked up Joe Kelly, a guy who is a character. He's got some swagger, and he also has an average fastball of 98 miles an hour. So he's got a lot of good things going for him, including he's got a ground ball percentage like 53, 52%. So he does not give up very many home runs. He's gotten better with his control. That can be an issue here or there, but he's definitely a really good addition to this pen. Also, you have to acknowledge that he had some injury issues recently. White Sox currently have him on a 2-year, $17 million contract, and that includes whatever the buyout of year number 3. There's a club option. And so we don't really have the breakdown how much he's getting paid each year and what the breakdown and what the option versus buyout is going to be. I wanted Sonny Gray, says John Smith. And you know what? I meant to write this down. The Twins picked up, yes, Sonny Gray. So they just got scarier because Sonny Gray is definitely a very good pitcher. They also got Isaiah Connor-Falefa, who is somebody that I was hoping the White Sox could get. The White Sox also, or the Rangers, I should say, also have a Cuban prospect that is blocked at the major league level. I don't know how available he'll be, and I can't think of the name right off hand, but should look into it because the Rangers have a Cuban second base prospect or middle infield prospect I would like to see the White Sox go after. Not that we have to have all the Cuban players, but hey, if they're good, yeah, I'll take them all. So yeah, so the Twins got Isaiah Connor-Falefa as well as Sonny Gray. They got better in the last couple of days. They are still without Jose Berrios, who they traded away to Toronto last year, and of course Nelson Cruz. Right now, I see he's choosing between who is it? Of course, it's always going to be the NL West with the Rangers, the Dodgers, and Padres. Whatever the case, good luck to them, and I'm glad you're not in the AL Central anymore. Apparently, the Brewers are also on him. It would be pretty exciting to see Nelson Cruz playing for the Brew Crew. Jeff, oh my gosh, I read Voices from the Chicago Grave not long ago. Great read. Thank you ever so kindly. Yeah, it's not often that the ghost storytelling world of mine interacts with the baseball side, but thank you for checking that out. I had a lot of fun writing that book. I want to do a follow-up to it. But yeah, I very much appreciate that. Anyone see the video of Joe Kelly? Josh Smith is asking, during COVID year where he was throwing in his yard and broke his own window. I've seen that video. I guess I didn't realize it was him. If you have the link to it, feel free to post it in the comments. I saw a video back during that time. I didn't realize that was Joe Kelly. Joe Kelly, I mean, what a character. And I love that when Baseball Reference broke the news of Joe Kelly coming to the White Sox, one of the links that they put in their own article was John Boy's breakdown of him throwing at Houston Astros hitters. That was a lot of fun. And so, yeah, there's definitely going to be some sparks when the White Sox face the Astros. I think there always would be, but now even more so with Joe Kelly. So, yeah, and then just today, there's not a lot of info on this deal yet, but the White Sox picked up former Philadelphia Philly starting pitcher Vince Velasquez. I actually saw Vince pitch in his rookie season out in Los Angeles against the Dodgers. And there's not, like I said, there's not a lot of information on his deal yet. I'm hoping it's a minor league contract because he seems like one of these guys that had potential as a prospect and it just kind of never grew into it. I love having pitching depth. I've got nothing against this signing, although I really hope it's at a minor league depth kind of level. Anyway, oh, and one thing I always do want to point. Okay, so the White Sox are, like I said, they're spending some money right now. The White Sox have a projected budget, actual physical money of $186 million, which is, they broke their previous franchise record last year and they've like shattered it already again this year. Their current hit when it comes to calculating their competitive balance tax is at $208.5 million, which, hey, it's a good thing that the new CBA has pushed that tax threshold up higher. I think it's at $230 million right now. So the White Sox do still have some money to play with before we get into a tax, we're to a level where we have to take a tax hit and start to really overpay for players and get penalized in other ways. The good news is, even if the White Sox do go over that threshold a little bit this year, they've got 3 big names coming off the books after this season. That is Dallas Keuchel, $18.5 million coming off the books. Jose Abreu, 16.6, and Craig Kimbrel, $16 million. So as far as calculating average annual salaries, which is how the competitive balance tax works, that's over $51 million coming off our taxable side. So if the Sox go over it, they could probably reset it right away. I don't think the White Sox will have any problem going over it even. Again, you're in for this much, you might as well do whatever it takes. Because as you'll see, we'll get into it a little bit. There is still some issues that we have to address. The White Sox have to address. Before I get into that, though, I do want to point out one of the things I always look at when a new player comes to our team is their postseason experience. And quite honestly, I don't even care if they've had success in the postseason or not. I want to know just that they've been there, that they have taken some reps, that they have the experience of playing in October. And Josh Harrison has appeared in 3 different seasons in the postseason, appeared in, I guess not too many games, just 4 games, 2 games in the NLDS and 2 wild card games. So he's got a little bit of experience there. 286 average on base plus slugging, upper or mid 600. So not great, but he's not a total stranger. So he made it into the postseason in 2013, 14, and 15, all with Pittsburgh. Isn't it wild that Pittsburgh made the postseason 3 years in a row, and now they're barely a major league team currently? Joe Kelly, on the other hand, has appeared in the postseason 8 different times. He has played in 3 different World Series series. Pretty impressive how many appearances he has in the postseason: 2012, 13, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, including being a World Series champion in 2018 with the Red Sox and 2020 with the Dodgers. So he has definitely a lot of experience. He's logged 58 postseason innings. Really good to see. And it's just the idea that, the big stage can sometimes intimidate players. And if you have a couple of these experiences under your belt, and it's so nice that the White Sox as a whole have had a couple of years in a row playing in October, they should play like veterans out there. They shouldn't play like scared rookies. And speaking of scared rookies, not that he was scared, Gavin Sheets, his first time in the postseason last year, looked amazing. So Jeff says, doesn't mind the Harrison signing. He gets on base. Absolutely. He is. I mean, we can't ever compare directly to Nick Madrigal, who really never strikes out. But Josh Harrison is not a guy that strikes out very much either. I had the numbers in front of me yesterday. I don't have them right now. But his strikeout rate is super, super low. He is not a huge stolen base guy, but he is a good, aggressive runner on the base path. So that's positive as well. And I checked out his fielding information, which it's always kind of hard to get a real feel for, is a player good or not, but he's about league average, maybe a little bit better than league average with the gloves. So at least there's not like we got a decent bat, but there's a shortcoming. He should be just a very solid second baseman for us for the next couple of years. Joe Kelly is definitely not intimidated by anything. Super true. Harrison move is all right. I'm not hyped either, but not upset. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I would have loved to have some bigger, shinier name. Or I know we were during my last live stream, countdown to the lockout, we were daydreaming. Could we get Chris Bryant and maybe Bryant plays third and Moncada plays second, and with all these other bigger names. Harrison's solid. He's solid and affordable. Not a super big price hit. I don't know if I went over the contract deals yet. The numbers for him. I don't think I have it right in front of me. But yeah, he's not getting paid a ton of money, and the Sox have the flexibility with the club option as well. Hoping for Story on a 1-year bounce back. Yeah, that's exactly what I would have really, really wanted to see. So that said, now we have to get into some of the bad stuff, which is projecting the White Sox rotation. Because right now we have a solid 1, 2, 3. Lucas Giolito, Lance Lynn, Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease definitely took a nice step forward last year. Lance Lynn, I didn't remember how good he was. I looked him up just now. His ERA was in the 2s. You just think that can't last forever, but he is continuing to be a really, really great player, a very effective pitcher. And with Texas, he was throwing tons of innings. I think with the White Sox, we've been a bit more protective of him. Texas, they weren't really playing for anything, so they didn't care if they blew his arm out. The White Sox have been more conservative, not having him pitch complete game after complete game, and I think it's really paid off for him. He's a great high volume pitcher, high strikeout number pitcher. Awesome, awesome guys to have on the team. But once you get past those 1, 2, 3, it's looking scary. It's I think we can just admit now that Michael Kopech is going into the starting rotation, which is great. That was always the plan. We still absolutely need to be careful with a guy that has had Tommy John surgery in the past. The White Sox have limited his innings. And last year, the White Sox were beginning to work him into the spot starts every so often. And then he had an injury and was lost for a while. So I don't think we can count on a full workload from Michael Kopech this coming season. If he can get 20 starts in, that would be really great. And maybe somebody like Ronaldo Lopez can pick up the 10 or 12 starts that Kopech can't do. The most important thing, of course, is keeping him healthy because the talent is absolutely there. And I got to acknowledge how surprisingly good Ronaldo Lopez was last year. I do not count on him to be our fifth starter, but it is nice having his arm in the bullpen as somebody that can step in every so often. He started 9 games for the White Sox last year, appeared in another 11 out of the bullpen, had an ERA of 3.43, which was a really nice surprise. It would be amazing if he was the Carlos Rodon of this year, somebody that you can't bank on for anything, and then he surprises you and is very effective. I'm not going to bank on that at all for Ronaldo Lopez, but hopefully we can get a few good innings out of him. So that's Kopech, Lopez. We just signed Velasquez, and then there's Jimmy Lambert. You see how quickly this gets very thin, because I don't think we can just assume Kopech is our number 4 and Lopez is our number 5, and we're set. The White Sox really need to pick up another starter. And there's not a lot out there. And the White Sox don't have a really deep farm system. So we don't have a lot of depth to trade from. Yes. Okay. Good luck to Carlos Rodon in San Francisco. I was absolutely going to talk about him and again, thank him for a great season and wish him luck. And I'm glad that the White Sox weren't in on his market. Well, puberty weren't in on his market as he picked up a 2-year, $44 million contract with a player opt out after the first year. So if he blows out his arm, he can just ride the pine and pick up his paychecks. But if he has a really good year, he can bounce right away. So boy, oh boy, what a player friendly deal that is for a guy that even last year, his healthy year, he still missed a lot of time and then was very limited when he came back late in the season. But hey, when he was healthy, he was electric. And that's where we really get the frustration of we can see the talent this guy has and what is possible. And it's heartbreaking for a guy that can't seem to stay healthy. Oh, sorry. Sox 22. Yes, absolutely. I can't believe I didn't write it. This is how much I don't want to count on Dallas Keuchel. Yes, we do still have Dallas Keuchel. Final year of his contract. And he ended up being so ineffective last year. I cannot believe I didn't. So he's penciled in as our number 4. And I just don't know what to make of him. I wish I could say that there were some silver linings, but he was consistently subpar last year. He's a guy that I was rooting for so much for the White Sox to get. And then the White Sox got him, and he had an amazing 2020 season. And that just did not replicate this year in 2021. So fingers are crossed. I think we can get some quality innings out of him, but really right now, he's just a huge question mark as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, Bra. Hopefully Dallas has a bounce back here. And Bra, you are another person that I think changed your name since last season. Did you have a different YouTube name? Let me know. That helps me keep track of our pick to click contest. Dallas was such an embarrassment last season. I'd still love an upgrade from Dallas though. Absolutely. So, okay. So let's say 1 through 5, Giolito, Lynn, Cease, Keuchel, Kopech. Then spot starter, I guess, in Lopez. It gets thin way too quick. And if we have 2 guys on the disabled list, or injured list, even just for a short amount of time, that makes the White Sox super vulnerable. Jimmy Lambert has been nice, but he's still developing. He definitely doesn't seem like he's going to be a top end starter. The White Sox don't have a lot of depth in the minor league systems. I don't know what Norge Vera is looking like, how he's been doing. It's going to be exciting to see some spring training this year. He was, of course, a Cuban pickup 2 off seasons ago, but he's a guy that has potential. I just don't know if he's there yet. The White Sox absolutely need to pick up another innings eater at the very least. Oh, and would I trade Kimbrel? The answer is yes. I don't but I don't see it as a necessity. I don't think the White Sox have to trade Kimbrel, and and the White Sox themselves said that we're not going to trade him just to trade him. We want value back. And do I think a Kimbrel trade is going to happen? I think it's likely, but I'm happy for the White Sox to hold on to him until a need arises and somebody really desperately needs him and is able to give us some nice prospects for him. It would be nice to have a little bit more breathing room budgetarily, but again, the White Sox I don't think have to, which is a great luxury for us to be in, that we can have a $16 million reliever just hanging out. Hopefully, picking up these spot save opportunity. Hopefully, he can grow into his 8th inning role a bit. Let's see. If Tony uses Kimbrel properly in the 9th closer role, he'll be fine. Our bullpen will be untouchable. So I agree a lot with a lot of what you just said there. And I know a lot of people have criticized the fact that the White Sox picked up one of the top closers in baseball to not use him as a closer. And then we're surprised when it didn't work out. And I see that fully, except we do have Liam Hendricks. He is so good. And I love seeing Liam in that 9th inning role. I don't know exactly how to balance it. And, really you would have to come down to Craig Kimbrel saying that, hey, I want to see this 8th inning role as a challenge that I'm going to conquer or not. So, there's a lot of behind the scenes going on there. I don't really know how it would work out. We all saw Matt Thornton several years ago was our 8th inning guy, and he was amazing, just so lights out. And then they tried to put him in the 9th inning, and he sucked. And that was kind of the end of his career. He couldn't change it. And maybe Kimbrel's the same way. He can't go the other direction, going from 9th to 8th. Time will tell on that one. Liam is a psychopath. He could dominate in any role. I think you're right on that. And I don't know. We'll just see what happens. That guy did he win reliever of the year this year? I think he did. The last 2 years. So, or closer of the year, whatever that award is. Yeah, I love seeing Liam in the 9th inning. I know he'd be good in the 8th. Yeah, I don't know. That's really a very difficult one to handle. What happens with Craig Kimbrel? I think spring training is going to tell us a lot. And how exciting is it that we'll have games in about a week? We went from no baseball to suddenly tickets are available and we can start lining up the turnstiles. Pitch Liam 7th and 8th, Kimbrel 9th. Absolutely filthy. I mean, that would be amazing. We also have Garrett Crochet back there. And I didn't mention him in the starters role candidate because I just don't think he is at that point yet. I like that they were kind of taking their time with Crochet, letting him get more comfortable in the major league since he's had 0 minor league experience, going straight to the big leagues from being drafted. And I know the plan is eventually for him to be a starter. And yeah, I'm very happy with. Also, if you're taking both Kopech and Crochet out of the bullpen, that bullpen got thin quick. So I love seeing Crochet still in the bullpen, pitching 6th, 7th inning, coming in with maybe the game on the line and throwing some serious heat. Anyway, so then if you guys have any other comments about the White Sox, feel free. Yeah, I think Crochet. I think you're on it, John. That Crochet is going to take the Kopech job, the spot, and Kendall Graverman is going to fill in for Evan Marshall, who is unfortunately lost to the year with Tommy John surgery. So we won't be seeing Evan Marshall at all this year, which is too bad because he was such a great pitcher for us for a long time. And then there's guys like Matt Foster. I think we'll get a nice bounce back year from him after he was misused a little bit in the bullpen. There were some growing pains with Tony La Russa, coming into a new team, figuring things out. We saw some accidents earlier on, both with pitcher usage and how the replays work and all that stuff. But, Tony has learned a lot as well. What happened to Tepera? He just is a free agent. Ryan Tepera, I would love to see him come back. I kind of don't think now with the signing of Joe Kelly, he's probably not going to be back with the team. Did you see that Hoyer got Tommy John? I did not see that, Hoyer. So, wow, both of the players that the White Sox traded to the Cubs for Nick Madrigal have had some massive injuries. Of course, Madrigal was injured during the trade as he was traded, but I did not know that Hoyer got injured. That's rough. And yeah, we with Graveman in the game in the bullpen as well. Yeah, we are stacked back there. We are really deep. And they got lesser celebrated guys like Jose Ruiz. who I know nobody thinks about. He's not an electric, exciting player, but he was a solid arm because, when the Sox are losing, you still need somebody to go out there and soak up those innings. And that's what Jose Ruiz did really, really well last year. Yeah, I wish Tempera was, we could resign him as well. Agreed. He did really well for us. I liked him a lot. Yep. And Ruiz being a good mop-up role guy. So I wanted to really quickly also, and again, just quickly touch on the new CBA, the new agreement between players and union. If anybody has any other White Sox topics, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll touch on them. But let's go back to the White Sox really quickly. One thing that we can't bank on this. Fingers are absolutely crossed for this. But one aspect that hopefully is going to be a huge improvement with the team. You can't deny how unlucky the White Sox were with injuries last year. If these players can just stay healthy, we're going to be so much ahead of where we were last year. Let me take a look at this again. So Yasmani, our amazing catcher, a catcher's not going to play 162 games, but he was limited to just 93. So if we can get Yasmani back to like 120, that would be a nice improvement. Tim Anderson only played in 123 games. I didn't remember that. I know he was injured for a while, but he missed almost 40 games. That's it's a bunch. Andrew Vaughn appeared in 127 games, partially because he didn't really have a role at the beginning of the season. But he, I think, will be our penciled in designated hitter this year with Gavin Sheets out in right field. Luis only appeared in 68 games, so missing almost 100 games for Luis. One of the best players on the team, probably the most talented player on the team overall. And then Eloy, of course, only 55 games for him. So he missed also over 100 games. If these players can just stay healthy, and those are so many of the most important players on the team that miss significant time, we'll be off. Again, we'll be so far ahead of where we were last year, just if these guys can stay healthy. Let's see. Luis for a 40-40 season. He's got that potential. He 100% has that potential. I don't know if he's going to be that aggressive on the base paths. I would guess not then. 30-30. Let's start there. I'll be very happy with 30-30. I don't even know if he would attempt that many steals. I could see Tim Anderson going for that. Not that he would have the power side of it, but he definitely have the speed. Do you think we will still make a move, sign or trade? I think we will still make a signing. I think it'll be and it's going to sound bad, but an unexciting pitching, starting pitching acquisition. Hopefully signing, because we just don't have the depth. However, I would be totally open to trading Yermin Mercedes, a guy who I deserves to get a shot somewhere. And I feel like he and Tony La Russa, or he in the front office, didn't get along. Yermin has a mean bat. I hope he can play somewhere. And I hope the White Sox can pick something up for him, not just release him and let him walk. So there you go. Let's see. Not Sox related at all, but Brady is coming back to the NFL. He just said it. Really? All right. Well, it's always fun to have those players that you like to root against, and Brady kind of plays that role a lot. He's undeniably probably the greatest quarterback of my lifetime. But still, he's fun to root against. Hope La Russa plays Mercedes. I would love to have Yermin on the team. He went down to the minor leagues, and yes, he pouted publicly on Twitter and said he was going to retire. I think he was just having a bad day and wasn't used to the fact that, hey, people actually care when I tweet random stuff now. And I think that was a learning lesson for him. But then he reported the next day, he played the rest of the year in the minors, and he had great numbers. He really earned a shot to get called back up, but it didn't work out for him. He's a talented hitter. Brady pulled Yermin and faked his retirement. Exactly. So there you have it. So yes. So let me get back to my notes here. Where are they? As we know, it's going to be a universal DH. So that doesn't affect the White Sox at all, but that was a long time coming. We were expecting that. 12-team playoffs. And, oh, John, you got Yermin's jersey. That's cool. maybe you'll be able to get it signed one day. Um, yeah, he was just, oh my gosh, he was the best story of the beginning of the year, and he was the guy that actually carried the White Sox at the start of the season when a lot of players weren't hitting. Yermin was a lightning rod that absolutely, man, hit these towering home runs and excited the team. He went 8 for his first 8 of the season, which was also a super exciting highlight, just to see a guy not get retired for the first 3 games or 2.5 games. But yeah, he was a lot of fun. Okay, so 12-team playoffs. If you haven't heard, so you have your 3 division winners, 3 wild card teams in each. The top 2, I like that there's still motivation to having the best record, because the top 2 in each league will get a bye. They don't have to play in this first round. Also, I love that the wild card, it's now a wild card series, not a wild card game. Baseball is a sport of series. It's not like football, the Super Bowl, a one and done. So I love that it's, even though it's just a best of 3, I love that it's not a single game. Also, when you're looking at trying to put the wild card teams at a disadvantage, they're going to have to run at least their top 2 pitchers out there. And if they sweep their way into the next round, their top 2 pitchers are probably not ready to pitch. So then they'd be going their third best against the ace of some division winner. So that is going to be again, it really incentivizes having the best record, which is what's very good about this. But yeah, extended to a 12-team playoff. I like that. I didn't want it to be anymore. I love that baseball's playoff is the toughest to get into, and and yeah, to make it into the playoffs as a wild card team, that's no easy feat. Also, these short 3 game series, they are all played. All 3 games, or 2 to 3 games, will be played at the team's field with the better record. So there's no going back and forth between stadiums. You're just going to be playing at the one team that has the home field advantage, and that's a huge benefit as well. So again, more and more motivation to actually win. Oh gosh, there's so many things. I guess I shouldn't go into all of it because this could drag on a bit. Let's see. This is good for the Sox because we should get some easy wins against these AL Central teams. We should be 1 or 2 seed. So interesting that you mentioned the schedule. So this year, we already know what the schedule is. That's locked in. Starting next year, every team will play every other team in all of baseball, at least one series. And that, of course, we would always play all the American League teams and then usually one division at a time. But starting next year, every single team will play every other team. Which will mean that there's going to be less games with our interdivision rivals, which might be good because by next year, the Tigers might be really good. So we'll have to see them a little bit less. And then we can play teams like, the Diamondbacks or the Rockies. Rockies signed Alex Colomé, former White Sox closer, by the way. He had an up and down season last year, but wishing him the best as well. There's going to be some unusual new rule changes next year as well, probably going into effect next year, including the bigger bases. I actually like that one. The idea is that, well, technically there's a little bit less space in between bases, so it might lead to more steals. I love stolen bases. But also the bigger, more important thing is if the bases are bigger, players won't overslide them. I hate those ticky-tack replays where a player just barely comes off the base, although they were obviously there before the throw was there, but they get tagged out because they just a millimeter of their pinky went off the base. I hate those kind of those call reversals. So this should help reduce some of those and just reduce player collisions on the bases as well. And we'll probably end up. Oh, we're back to normal extra innings and doubleheader rules, 9-inning doubleheaders. Which is a little bit surprising. I thought they would keep the 7-inning doubleheaders, especially with some probably planned in ones this coming year. Who do I think is the second best team in the Central? Good question. Things are still coming together. I mean, the Twins got much better today, just in the last day or two. But it's got to be the Tigers. I think they have made some strides. They've had a farm system that's been maturing, and those guys are coming up and playing and taking those next steps, just like our players are. I am a little annoyed that they're as competitive as they are, as quickly as they are. I thought we'd have another year or 2 before I had to worry about Detroit, but they are the team that I'm worried about this year. And their manager, AJ Hinch, absolutely worth it. Worth mentioning him because he is a benefit to the team. Let's see. What did I want to go over as far as other CBA things? Well, okay. I mentioned the luxury tax threshold. It used to be 210. It's gone up to 230 this year, and it's going to go up 1.5% each year through the rest of the CBA, peaking at 244 million. So the White Sox, boy, this couldn't have worked out better for the White Sox, quite honestly. Our window of contention, when we start to get more expensive, this is when the CBA, when that tax level is going up. So we don't have to worry about that nearly as much. Very, very good timing for the White Sox. Oh, and by the way, this is pretty interesting. I found, I'll put these links in the comment, in the video description after I lock this up. But estimated league revenues have ballooned in recent years, and total payrolls have remained relatively flat since 2017. If the competitive balance tax was keeping pace with the revenues, then we should have a tax threshold of at least $250 million, so 250 million, somewhere between $250 million and 300 million. So anybody that says players are overpaid, well, there's a lot of money coming into the sport. Baseball is in a really healthy spot, which is kind of odd because we always hear about how we're losing fans and there's not enough younger fans coming in, which is still a truth. But the financial business side of baseball is doing really great. And so you could argue that the players are technically underpaid for as much money as the owners are taking in. If the competitive balance tax should be between 250 and 300 million, and it's only at 230 right now. So interesting stuff. League minimum salary, the players were hoping for a 775,000 per player. Last year it was 570, so they wanted a $200,000 raise. It ended up going up to 600. No, it is 700,000. So it's pretty close to what the players' side were hoping for. So $700,000 minor for league minimum salaries. And then there's another aspect of it where the top 100 best players will get a little bit additional money out of this pool of $50 million. Will this affect the White Sox? It might. Dylan Cease has been a very effective pitcher, and he is he's not signed to a long-term contract, so he's going year to year right now. Andrew Vaughn, I wouldn't say he's one of the top 100 players that's pre-ARB eligible, but he could become that. So, these guys might start to get some nice little boosts, nothing huge, but boosts before even hitting arbitration, which will make all of their arbitration years more expensive. So this kind of stuff might make these financial rule changes, structure changes, might incentivize teams even more to try to lock up their young players to long-term contracts. And it might incentivize some players like Lucas Giolito, who's going year to year as well. He's at arbitration level though now. Those types of players to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go year to year because we finally do get rewarded a little bit earlier. Very interesting thing with Rookie of the Year incentives. The top 2 vote getters for Rookie of the Year will receive an extra year of service time. So that will mean this is such a double-edged sword because, you want somebody on your team to win Rookie of the Year, but that would actually mean there would be one less year of team control over that player. So they would get to arbitration 1 year earlier, and they would become a free agent 1 year earlier if they hadn't signed a contract extension at that point. Also, clubs will receive an extra draft picks if they promote young players to their opening day roster, who then go on to finish in the top 3 of Rookie of the Year voting or the top 5 in MVP or Cy Young voting. Again, a really interesting way that the Players Union is trying to make sure that teams aren't manipulating service time. That, hey, if a player's ready to play him on day 1, let him play the full season. Don't try to play around with their service clock. And as a reward, if those players really are good, well, you'll get extra draft picks out of it. I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, I think that's about all I wanted to go over right now. Thank you guys for hanging out, chatting with me. I hope you guys are having a nice weekend. We've had a beautiful day today. It's nice to be back in the porch. It's been too cold to be out here. And it's really great that starting very soon, we'll be able to talk spring training actual baseball games. Once again, thanks for watching. And I could finally say it. I've stopped myself from being able to say this during the lockout, but play ball and go Sox.